Welcome to the TOEFL Listening section. In this section, you will listen to an academic lecture and then answer questions about what you heard. You may take notes while you listen. You will have time to review your notes before answering the questions. Listen to part of a lecture in a university class. You will hear the lecture only once, so listen carefully. After the lecture, you will answer some questions about what you heard. Some questions ask about the main ideas and supporting details. Other questions ask you to make inferences or connections between ideas. Answer each question based on what is stated or implied in the lecture.
Good morning. Today we will examine consumer behavior psychology with a focus on decision-making in purchasing. This is central to marketing because understanding how consumers decide allows firms to shape choice architecture and improve outcomes. I will first outline the classical 5-stage decision process. Then we will explore psychological mechanisms such as heuristics, biases, framing effects, and social influences. Finally, we will consider applied examples and case studies from retail and digital marketplaces. The 5 stages are need recognition, information search, evaluation of alternatives, purchase decision, and post-purchase behavior. Each stage is subject to cognitive shortcuts and emotional influences that marketers can anticipate. During need recognition, consumers perceive a gap between their current state and a desired state. Marketers trigger this perception with advertising that highlights problems that their product solves. In the information search stage, consumers gather data. Online reviews, price comparison sites, and recommendation algorithms reduce search costs. But these tools also introduce biases because consumers overweight easily available information. For example, the availability heuristic leads people to rely on vivid or recent product reviews more than a systematic evaluation. Amazon reviews often act as social proof, and high review counts can anchor perceived popularity and quality. Evaluation of alternatives involves comparing attributes such as price, quality, and convenience. Here, heuristics like price as a proxy for quality and brand familiarity play a role. Anchoring occurs when an initial price sets a reference point for subsequent judgments. A common framing tactic is to present a reference price or a strike through the original price, so that the sale price seems like a gain. Loss aversion makes consumers respond more strongly to avoiding losses than to equivalent gains. The decoy effect is another important phenomenon. An elegant example is the decoy effect, where adding a third option shifts choices in favor of the target product. Firms use this intentionally when designing price and feature bundles. A famous case study is a subscription experiment at a magazine. When 3 options were offered, including a middle option that made the highest price plan seem more attractive, subscriptions to the target plan rose significantly. Choice overload is a contrasting problem. Research shows that offering too many options can reduce purchase rates. A classic jam study showed that consumers were more likely to buy when presented with fewer varieties. So there is a balance in assortment planning. The optimal number of choices depends on category complexity and consumer expertise. For routine goods, fewer options often increase conversion. Payment method also influences decisions. Consumers tend to spend more with credit cards than cash, due to reduced pain of payment. Mental accounting explains why bundling or subscription pricing can change perceived value. Post-purchase behavior is shaped by cognitive dissonance and satisfaction. If expectations are not met, consumers may experience regret and return products. Generous return policies can reduce this dissonance and increase willingness to try new products. Social factors matter as well. Word of mouth and social proof increase trust. Status signaling can drive purchases in luxury categories, where conspicuous consumption sends social messages. A practical application is store layout. Retailers use eye-level placement for high-margin items, because consumers often use the representativeness heuristic to equate visibility with quality. Digital platforms use personalization algorithms to reduce search friction. But personalization may also create filter bubbles that limit exposure to alternatives and entrenched preferences. I want to emphasize ethical considerations. Manipulating choice architecture can increase sales, but firms should avoid exploiting vulnerabilities that harm consumers. To conclude, consumer decision-making is an interplay of cognitive processes, emotional states, and social context. Marketers who understand heuristics, framing, and social influence can design better products and communication strategies while maintaining ethical standards. That wraps up our overview. Next time we will analyze experimental methods used to test these psychological effects in field settings.
Listen again to part of the lecture. Then answer the question.
An elegant example is the decoy effect, where adding a third option shifts choices in favor of the target product.
This concludes the listening section. For more TOEFL practice tests and study materials, visit Spinta.org.